I'm Tommy D from the Knicksblog.com. After a terrible performance by the Knicks in Game 1 in South Beach, we will talk about that game, and then the next segment we will talk about adjustments. Joining me on the phone, as always, our good friend Andrew Smith. Andrew, how's it going?
Not bad, guys. What's up?
Everything's well, and in studio from Hoops critic, Brian Geltzeiler. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Tom. How are you, pal?
I'm doing great. I guess probably better than the majority of the Knicks fans after Game 1. And let's start with Game 1. When I watched the game, I got the sense that there was just this momentum that was building from the Heat's perspective. I don't want to blame games on officials. I rarely do that. But there definitely was a momentum that was built based on LeBron James early on getting to the free throw line. It ended up being 33-10 in terms of free throw attempts, if those numbers are correct. Talk to me about your take on just the beginning of that first Game 1 and how it kind of slipped away from the Knicks right away.
Well, Tommy, I'm never a proponent of looking at what the officials do with something and saying that that has a direct result on the game. I think, especially early in a game, in the first quarter, you have to make an adjustment. And ultimately, the way to beat the Miami Heat is to turn James and Wade into jump shooters. They did not do that. They didn't turn James and Wade into jump shooters. They were putting it on the floor. It seems the Knicks got a little intimidated by the fact that the officials were calling a lot of ticky-tack fouls. That's something that they have to be prepared for in Game 2. Didn't seem prepared for it in Game 1.
And Drew, we're talking about the first two games here. The goal, obviously, is to just get one of the two. So you start Game 2 0-0. We'll talk about the adjustments later on, but the second quarter, when they scored 13 points, the Heat really showed just what a dominant defensive team they can be.
Yeah, that was really what it is to me in that game. I mean, the Knicks did come out ready to play. The first quarter was great. They came out playing hard. Carmelo obviously was 0 for 7 to start. Could have been a factor of the fact that he was just off. It could have also been the fact that he has, the premier defender in the world guarding him. But, the adjustments weren't made by Woodson to the Heat's defense. I mean, you're going to have trouble scoring in the end, but you have to put your team in the best opportunity to score, and Woodson didn't do that. The best thing about a series is that you can watch film, make your adjustments, and come back out. We'll see if he doesn't tonight.
I made this point, Brian, on the blog, and I actually made it on Twitter. When they called the offensive foul, the back screen on Chandler, and the subsequent flop afterwards, they looked like they were going to eject Tyson Chandler, and they were going to call it a flagrant 2. But what's he doing on the court with 3 fouls that late in the second quarter?
I think out of desperation. I think that the Knicks really were struggling at that point in the game. We understand how important a player Chandler is to the Knicks' fortunes. I think you also have to look at how poorly Chandler played with the fact that he had the flu. I mean, Tyson Chandler, who was not much of an offensive threat, still managed to turn the ball over 7 times in that game.
Amazing.
And is the defensive player of the year in the NBA and was non-existent. This was a sick man on the court trying to do the best he could, but he's also the most important player on the Knicks, and that includes Carmelo Anthony. Chandler's supposed to be healthy for tonight's game. A healthy Tyson Chandler in tonight's game is going to go a long way in helping the Knicks play some better defense, especially at the rim.
And Drew, talking about Chandler, how much prepared, or last year against the Mavericks, obviously in the finals, are LeBron and Wade and Bosh now to face Tyson Chandler, in your opinion?
Obviously, the year under their belt has certainly helped, and now 2 seasons under their belt. It's a different team that Chandler's going to battle with, and it brings up a point I wanted to bring up about composure. It's one thing that the Knicks lack, and it's the frightening thing moving ahead in the series. When you watch other playoff games, every team goes on 8, 10, 12-point runs, and you just have to bounce back from them. The Knicks didn't do that in Game 1. They didn't really show that they could do that in the season as well, and you see guys with, Jason Kidd, Jameer Nelson, obviously Chris Paul last night with the amazing comeback. These guys are great point guards, but the Knicks don't have that. They need to be able to see that, to withhold that 10-0, 12-0 Heat run, and someone's got to step up and say, guys, let's relax, settle down, long game, and then we'll go from there.
That player is the point guard, which, obviously they had Amon Shumpert, and sadly for the Knicks fans, he suffered a very devastating knee injury. He was kind of put in charge in the playoffs of being that guy to settle the team down when Davis had the back injury. Mike Bibby has been bad. Bringing in Geltzeiler to me was a puzzling move. I get it from a structure standpoint if Jeffries can't go, but they really needed to bring in some sort of stronger presence who can just at least bring maybe an Anthony Carter, just somebody who could play and slow them down and quiet it down when things go crazy.
There's no doubt, Tommy. It's a roster deficiency. I mean, Mike Woodson doesn't have a point guard to go to. Bringing in Geltzeiler was a desperation move, but that shows you Woodson is desperate right now. Think about it. Amon Shumpert, who's a rookie, he's had a very good rookie season. Excellent defensive player, a little bit challenged offensively with decision-making. Ball's in his hands as a point guard. That shows you exactly how desperate Mike Woodson is. They counted on Baron Davis to play that role. Now, at the most important point of the season where they need Davis healthy, they don't have Davis healthy. That was a risk going in of putting the ball in Baron Davis's hands to run this team. That risk has gone bad for the Knicks at a really bad time.
Game 2 tonight. We'll talk about the adjustments in a minute. Brian, thanks as always for the information.
My pleasure, my friend.
Drew, thanks again. We'll see you in a minute.
All right, guys.
And remember to get all your information on the Knicks in this critical playoff series with Game 2 tonight in Miami. Check out the knicksblog.com. And stay tuned for segment 2 right here on SNY.TV.